Visual voice will be our next project we do together. Visual voice, or an artist's voice, is something that is very important to develop. I know some of you choose to do art as a hobby. Some of you are thinking about pursuing it as a career in some way. But it is important to, in some way, reflect on who you are as a person and what exactly you want to say to the world through your art. Okay? So let's go through this presentation together. What is a mixed media artwork? Mixed media art refers to a visual art form that combines a variety of media in a single artwork. For example, if you draw with ink, then paint over it with watercolors, then add some highlight in colored pencil, that's mixed media. Guys, for this particular project, the reason why I chose mixed media is because we're not in a classroom where you guys can just say, hey, miss, I need some paint, can I borrow some? Or miss, I need pastels for this, can I use it? Well, we don't have the luxury of that right now, being in a virtual learning space. So that's why I'm saying to you, use what you have at your disposal at home, okay? So where did it begin? The use of mixed media began around 1912 with the Cubist collages and constructions of Pablo Picasso and George Braque, and has become widespread as artists developed increasingly open attitudes to the media of art. Essentially, art can be made of anything or any combination of things. Mixed media versus multimedia. So sometimes students will say those terms and think they mean the same thing, but they don't. So multimedia guides includes a combination of electronic media, such as video, film, audio, and computers. Medium can refer to both the type of art, for example, painting, sculpture, or printmaking, as well as the materials an artwork is made from. Okay, so collage. Collage describes both the technique and the resulting work of art in which pieces of paper, photographs, fabric, and other ephemera are arranged and stuck down onto a supporting surface. Now, guys, for your mixed media project, which I'll get into in a minute, you don't necessarily have to use collage, but if you want to incorporate that in your art piece, you can, okay? And it can be done very effectively. It just depends on what you actually want to use. All right, let's look at some cool examples. So we have Najadika Akunili Crosby. She has a textured photo collage here that she shows us, and it's done very, very interestingly. She's a Nigerian-born artist, and she uses a collage as a media that can help bridge the culture of her native Nigeria with her adopted culture in America. She uses photos, paint, colored pencils, and charcoals, and even textiles to create strong textures that incorporate the different parts of the painting. Ultimately, the contrasts create distinct tones in the same painting and the overall significant and evocative designs. All right, guys, so here, right, what brings all these different textures together? Again, it's the tones, it's the color choices, and where she's placed certain things that make it look like it all goes together, when in reality, these items were probably all from separate things, right? From separate pages, say in a magazine or whatever. So paying attention to details like that, that's what often can make a collage look quite breathtaking, all right? All right, the next person is David Fullerton, and he does photo and paint collage. David Fullerton basically despises the classic notebook, right? And so for his particular art, he takes his revenge out by filling it with comedic mixed media drawings or a little journaling that he does. It's supposed to look like basically a teenage chaotic doodling notebook, right? Where things and thoughts are just all over the place and there's no real sense of organization, okay? This next artist, Nikki Farquharson, and photo ink collages, she uses bold colors, print-like designs, and she uses a lot of ink in a lot of her artwork. The style uses photography and clean line art in a combination of colors and textures. In this case, the girl who is at the center of each pattern gives context to the pattern around her and not the other way around. Okay, so guys, for this assignment, your first step is to make a list of 25 things about you in your sketchbook or on a piece of paper, sorry. So start off general. For example, I like ice cream. Or I'm an introvert, or I'm an extrovert. Another thing I do, let's see, what do? I do make a lot of coffee every day. Okay. So guys, it's just basic information. You're making a list about yourself, and it could be just like basic menial things, but just start from there and start to build. Okay. By the end, you must have these 5 sentences completed. I find peace in, I am inspired by, when I am stressed, upset, at a low point, I turn to. If I could change one thing, I would change. If I could go back in time, I wish I knew. Okay, I have a feeling a lot of you are going to choose that one, which is a good one. All right. So step 2, create a mixed media work of art about one of the 5 sentences you completed. Consider which one invokes the strongest visual image when you think about it. Consider what materials, colors, etc. best reflect the emotion and the idea you are trying to convey. Complete at least 3 sketches of your idea. Okay, so using more than one material in a work of art, aka collage assemblage, collage work of art using 2-dimensional materials such as paper, paint, pencil, etc. Assemblage work of art using 3-dimensional materials such as clay, cardboard, found objects, etc. Focus on 2-dimensional materials, however, you can build up the surface. All right, so I just want to go back here, guys, where it says complete at least 3 sketches. These 3 sketches that you're doing are very basic. Don't spend like a day or 2 on them, right? It's just concept. You're just trying to organize your ideas. I won't be marking that and saying, oh, wow, that's breathtaking, 10 out of 10. I'm just marking, okay, does there seem to be a process there? Okay, great. Don't spend tons of time just developing on your ideas. I just need to see that you have something down before you start your final, okay? All right, so what makes a successful collage? Use smaller pieces to create a new image. Find a way to make different materials look like they belong together. Consider a focal point and your composition. Remember, you are creating a unique work of art, which means any image you include that is not your own must be altered at least 60%. Okay, so what does that mean? Say you find a cool image of an object, you want to incorporate it into your art piece. There must be some modification that you do to it, whether it be you're adding line work to it through pen, or you're adding paint to it in some way. You're changing it, modifying it so it fits your piece of work, which would then be original. I don't want to just see, oh, I like that tree. Let me just glue that in there. You got to modify it so it looks like it all goes together. Here are some examples from students. Okay. All right, here are some bad examples. Okay, and I think we all know why these are bad examples, right? Does it look like it all goes together, or does it look like just a cut and paste activity? Some of it looks very last minute. I mean, this one in the bottom left-hand corner could have had some potential, but doesn't look holistic, doesn't look entirely unified, okay? All right, so when it comes to doing a mixed media art piece, it's important to create a sense of space. So having a fore, middle, and background helps to do that. Cut out closely around the object, not the space around the object, right? Because you're trying to make it look like it belongs there. I don't want to have to get, oh, they got that out of a magazine, because that's not nicely trimmed out. You want it to look as professional and as aesthetically pleasing as possible. The rule of thirds should also be applied, right? So just like you would do a painting or a drawing, how you use your space is very important, and where you put things is very important. Simplification is also key. So include large visuals, have parts of your image run off the edge of your canvas as well. That also helps. Okay, here we are. Symmetry, it is more pleasing to the eye to have an odd number of objects than an even number. Okay, it kind of goes back to that rule of thirds and threes. For whatever reason, it's just a proportion that works. Okay. Lines and diagonals. So use lines to make your image more interesting. Use diagonals to lead the viewer's eye around the page. So again, guys, you're using your elements, right? Line and where it's positioned. That controls how people's eyes move across a composition or a page. Okay, so take advantage of that. Right? This is a very good effective use of line here. Okay, and I kind of love what they did at the bottom there. All right, and then using little parts to make a whole. Okay, use materials on top of magazines. Okay, so in this case, it looks like they have like something in the background that was probably cut out and then they drew right on top of that. That's also another nice thing to do. It adds texture, adds some variety. It helps to create a more interesting visual dynamic. Okay, be neat. You guys want to look at some other artists that are good at mixed media, you can take a look at some of his work here. Here are some of his examples, or actually more project examples, sorry. Okay, I love this one on the right. Okay, very interesting. Use of paint there with images found in magazines. Okay, very cool. Love this one too. All right, very nice. All right, so your grade. Completed list of 25 things about you needs to be completed. The subject matter is important. I'll be looking at the focal point. What's the focal point in your composition that you provided? What's the overall composition look like? Does it look harmonious and all of that? Your use of materials, the effort, creativity, and then lastly, the artist statement. So the artist statement for you guys is again that 50-word description. I don't need much longer than that, okay? The end. So guys, that's it. If you need to review this presentation again, the link is also provided on D2L, and just my original PowerPoint is also provided. All right, take care, guys.